Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on our global webcast of the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio, presented by Honda Racing. And what a glorious afternoon it is. Right spot on 75 degrees right now. As you can see, mostly blue skies. A little bit of a breeze out there. Keeps things interesting. But I think we're in for a great afternoon of racing. This is going to be up. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this one. Over 20 cars taking to a 2.25 mile track. That's a busy one at 13 turns. And there's only 4 rounds left, Cal, on the Pirelli World Challenge GT Sprint Championship. So the points battles are getting pretty intense. I refer, of course, to Calvin Fish. We'll also have Jeff Lepper covering things down in pit lane, but boy, this battle is on.
It really is, and the drivers recognize that. Only 4 rounds to go, so everyone is super important right now. Pat Long has a 17-point lead over Alvaro Parent in the sprint standings, and quite a gap back to the Cadillac boys, who are like 23 and 24 points behind Parent, respectively. So it's really between those two, but we've seen big point swings this year. You got to get to 50% to get points, so you can't afford to get into trouble early, and that'll be on everyone's mind. But I'm really fascinated by this start because all week long the Cadillacs have shown more straightaway speed. It's a long run down to turn 4, and you know, for Michael Cooper, if he's thinking about victory here today, he recognizes once you get Parent in a rhythm, he's tough to beat. So if he can make a move early down into the first turn, it'll be critical.
Well, he was able to nip around and win one of them last year, so he knows it's possible. There's a great look at Johnny O'Connell as he's got race mode on for Johnny Red right there. Interesting here, 2014-2015, Ryan Dial in Porsches swept everything here in 15, including poles, fast laps. But Pat Long last year, they just really, it didn't seem to work in a Porsche, and he's back on 5th on the grid again today.
Yeah, they're scratching their heads. They really went over their data last year, thought they'd found a little something to correct that performance from last year, but they haven't been at the sharp end. Had a very strange qualifying procedure yesterday. He waited about 5 minutes, which makes sense, a little bit more rubber go down in the session, but then he was out there for about 4 or 5 laps, Greg, before he really set representative time. I think he was trying to get the tire pressures to build slowly rather than peak, and then he immediately jumped up in the top 3, but not sharp enough to really get on that front row. And as we know at Mid-Ohio, we're not hoping it goes this way, but it is tough to pass here, so that qualifying position and track position is so critical for him.
It is indeed. Now, as always, folks, as you're literally eavesdropping on our global webcast as we're building our CBS Sports Network coverage, we are doing that today. So right now we're going to pause, and we might have these on occasion during the course of the race as we go to commercial break and have discussions with producers and the like. Right now we're going to pause. When we come back, we'll be working on our CBS Sports Network coverage.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Motul, official lubricant of the Pirelli World Challenge. And by Porsche, there is no substitute.
Welcome back, everybody. There you see it. Honda, the Power of Dreams, our presenting sponsor of this Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. And down in the mix, Jeff Lepper. Jeff, what's the word?
Well, thanks, Greg. Exciting times down here on the grid. The car I'm going to watch for here has got to be Kyle Marcelli, the number 61 4E. This car was in ruins after Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. That team got his car back, built, and put Kyle Marcelli behind the wheel. Johnny O'Connell, 3-time champ in a row. He's looking for good things coming, but it's Michael Cooper starting the outside of the front row in his number 8 Cadillac racing car that's leading our Sprint X championship points. He's going to be strong in sprint. The championship, however, Alvaro Parent, 17 points behind. He got that point for getting the pole. It's only 16 points back to Patrick Long, who starts in 5th here today. And I think Guys, I think we're about ready to get this race going, and to give that command here today at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio, presented by Honda, for Pirelli tires, Optima batteries, and all of our friends for Hondas and dealers, Greg Gill.
Drivers, start your engines.
All right, and this big field springs to life as we are ready to get going with, again, this 6th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GT Sprint Championship. GT, GTA, which is for the non-professional drivers, driving the same type of cars as the GT equipment, and then GT Cup, a couple of entries in that one as well. And of course now in GT competition in the Pirelli World Challenge, all rolling starts, so the field will head out. Unique here, Cal, though, they don't start when they come around on the pit straight. They actually continue through the keyhole onto the long backstretch.
Yeah, and that really gives Michael Cooper a lot more opportunity to make a run at Alvaro Perent. But you know Alvaro's going to be on his game. As you said, he saw it last year, and he doesn't want a cut and paste situation coming into this year's round, which is so critical. With these various championships, we've got the Sprint X, as Jeff mentioned. You've got Cooper leading that and overall, but Sprint is what our mindset is right now. There's this round here, and tomorrow, obviously, a doubleheader, and then we finish off at Sonoma. So this is a super important weekend for everyone.
There's a look at one of the wonderful contributions from one of our exceptional partners, Cadillac, and the Cadillac safety car, the ESV, as it makes its way out on track. We also have the Cadillac Escalade, the medical vehicle that chases the field at the start and, of course, responds to incidents, and we hope they have a very calm and restful day as we get ready for that. But, Cal, that now leads us into our Pirelli keys to the race, and I think it's kind of got what you were kind of alluding to at first corner heroics.
Yeah, well, that's the opportunity because Alvaro Perent is such a pro, and once he gets into a rhythm, he can really lay some lap time. With that, McLaren has been very fast here in the past, had a good qualifying pace, of course, and then spoilers, there's some new guys on the grid. Great to see Marcelli back. You got Pompelli coming off that Sprint X victory with Dane Cameron at Lime Rock. A little bit disappointed with his qualifying run yesterday, but he could make some moves. And let's not forget Ryan Dial in that Vilbus Mercedes. He's always done well here. 4 victories with Porsche before.
And then at GTA, Wedding Day Blues.
Yeah, very much so. That Road America weekend, Michael Shine doing the right thing he thought in terms of being at his best friend's wedding, but that meant he missed the first round, was mired in the middle of the back of the pack because he didn't run a qualifying lap in the first round of Road America and got caught up in turn 5. Just a disastrous weekend. He lost 50 points to Sofronis. Now he's in a big hole in the points.
So that's the scenario as it sets up. We come back. We will lead you ever closer to the start of this 6th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GT Championships at beautiful Mid-Ohio. Welcome back, everybody. This is, of course, Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, presented by Honda. And we are going to take a look right now at our Porsche race analysis. And we're going to take a shot that we had earlier in the weekend, Cal. You can see all of those little changes of pavement and the like. That really makes this track a handful to stay ahead of.
It does. You got a lot of elevation change here. You got those patches, differences in surface. So it really affects the grip level, and the drivers have to be on their toes. And you're really chasing the setup, particularly with the temperature as well. It's perfect conditions right now. Ambient temperatures, you can see mid-70s. Track temperature is low as well. So it should be good. And these Pirelli P0s we saw in qualifying yesterday were really laying down fast laps at the very end of like 10, 12 lap runs. So expect the same thing in the race today.
So how busy this track is, and the drivers that are going to be attacking with some great onboards for us. Here's number 43. Clearly a huge favorite here in the Acura NSX GT3. Ryan Eversley, Spencer Pompelli filling in the Magnus Audi for Pierre Caffer. Ryan Dial in the always wicked quick number 2 De Vilbius Mercedes. Here's Kyle Marcelli. Great qualifying run to 4th. And we'll also ride on board with the 4-time champion Johnny O'Connell in the number 3 Velocity Red Cadillac. You see that Cadillac E-Series logo right there. So that's what we're looking at in the field now, making its way up into the keyhole. Get through this turn. They are then into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, and it's up to that front row and the starter when this race gets underway. And it's going to be interesting to see just how close, as Cal was alluding to, that Michael Cooper can stay to the outside shoulder and maybe use a little bit better straight line from that Cadillac down into turn 4 and into the S's. It can be done. It's a matter of how it works out here. Boy, I tell you, exciting here. 50 minutes of racing about to get unleashed. Some of the most amazing supercars in the world, and a really late green, and it played into Perent's hands, and he got the nose ahead. Cal Cooper tucks right in behind.
Yeah, perfect start there for Alvaro Perent, but Cooper's going to put the pressure on as they get down into that brake zone. Can he go the long way around? He's not on his flank yet. Perent takes the apex. Look at Brian Sellers. Great move there around Maselli from 6th on the grid up to 4th immediately. He's got around Pat Long as well.
Yeah, Sellers really using the stick of that McLaren, and it paid off beautifully. Now up and over the S's, now into the section that they call Madness, and the reason is how this section of track ends. Right here, this next corner, when they come up and over this brow, Cal, this is just special stuff.
It really is. You see Fogarty making some moves in a new car since that crash at Road America. Marcelli's dropped a few spots here on the start.
And looks like James Safrone is able to get around the pole sitter in the GTA class, the 16 Wright Motorsport Porsche of Mike Shine. And that blue and white number 14 is Safronis into the GTA lead early, but Perent doing exactly what he needed to do here in terms of having a shot at this championship.
He had that car perfectly set in the sweet spot in the gear ratio he was using there for that initial start, and just took off once he saw that green and cleared Cooper easily by the time they got to the brake zone.
Aggressive move there, the 93 of Cox just working along with Fogarty, and now Eversley trying to come up the other side. Of course, I mentioned, look at that move. That is Eversley.
Don't forget Road America. These three got together, Greg. It was a huge carnage. Last time they were racing together just a few weeks ago.
Not more room between those cars this time, I noticed.
That's right.
Hop on board now, Ryan Dial into the Vildas Mercedes. He's right behind Kyle Marcelli. But boy, you're right, Marcelli really slipped back in the pack a bit.
He did. He'll be disappointed with that after a great qualifying run. He went to the top of the table briefly towards the end of qualifying, got bumped back to the second row, but still an outstanding performance for this team who a week ago, Greg, I know Kyle told you, they didn't even expect to be here, so to show up and put in such a strong run, is certainly great stuff for him.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you, I'm impressed with what Brian Sellers has been able to do here in the early going.
Well, he's another one of these drivers who's super frustrated with his qualifying run here. Yesterday, he's really got to be a little bit sharper in qualifying, because with this track position, it is so tough to pass, and he made it stick at the start. It was a great run that he got down into turn 4, picking up 2 spots, and for Pat Long, he didn't need to lose any further ground here. And this points lead that Pat Long has will go away in a heartbeat if Perent wins and Pat's at the bottom end of that top 5.
And not big swings between positions, but you get enough positions between yourself. I mean, it can, as you said, change in a heartbeat right now. Mancinelli right on the back of Long, then Marcelli. And there is Pat Long. And he came back to this championship last year. The Porsche is a Porsche factory driver. North America's only one. And they said, where do you want to go? And he said, I've been unfinished business in Pirelli World Challenge. This means something.
But it was a difficult year with the Effort Racing program being curtailed early, switching over to Wright Motorsport, and then sort of like gelling and getting their act together. They did a brilliant job and almost had the championship in the palm of their hand until that incident with Johnny O'Connell late in the going at the final round at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. But he said they've come back refocused this year. They're doing everything right, but none of these championships are going to come easy.
Up and over the rise that they call Madness. As Long goes on through, and the rest of the field again sitting in that 5th spot now, but he's lost already a fair amount. That's some 15 car lengths up to Sellers. And the other side of the equation here is you got to have a car left for the race tomorrow, and you've got to get a good lap in during this race if you want to start up toward the front. Is he thinking maybe at this point, I'm going to lay back a little bit, get a little room to Brian Sellers while the tires are fresh and try and get one in?
Well, that's certainly a backup plan. I think his initial plan is to try and get around Brian Sellers and get more points from his position in the race. And just looking at the lap times right now, his last lap was a 22.8 compared to Perent's 22.0, which is the fastest lap of the race right now. So unless the track comes to him a little bit, maybe their tire pressure, they set a little bit lower or something to try and get the car to come towards him a little bit. They're a very sharp group there. John Wright is one of the best engineers in this paddock, and he and Patrick work together so well. Great chemistry there. And they'll be trying to find the sweet spot for this Porsche over a 50-minute race, not just the first 5 minutes.
And listen to this little strap here of the 93 of Cox on the outside shoulder of Spencer Popelli. Popelli filling in for Pierre Caffer in that Magnus Audi. And as Cox turned in there, it almost looked like there may have been just the slightest little brush. And then he tucked back in behind Spencer. Talked to Spencer just a little while ago today, and I was surprised to see him a little bit further back, and he said, on the grid, he said, yeah, so are we. So we thought this Audi would be a little bit better here.
Yeah, they just couldn't get the tires to come in their qualifying run, so just a bit disappointed. I mean, they are very sharp in practice, rolled off the truck reasonably well, just a couple of tenths off the fastest times in the first practice, and thought they had a good weekend ahead of them, but just hasn't come their way.
Good look at Alvaro Perez as he heads down through turn 1 here. Very, very quick turn at this track, and that's where that downforce really comes into play, whistles through there. That margin still 0.8 of a second clear of Cooper.
Yeah, and he just laid a new fast lap at 121.74, but getting back to Patrick Long, he laid down a lap at 121.81, so Patrick Long's car is coming in a little bit as we get further into this run.
There's a look at your GTA leader. That is James Safronis in that Global Motorsports Group Thermo Club car right in front of him. A big moment for Ryan Eversley.
Yeah, he's hanging on. You can see his teammate Peter Cox is a couple of positions ahead of him. And Ryan doesn't like that. He's a fierce competitor, and there's nothing like seeing your teammate as a carrot in front of you, and he's pushing hard right now.
And of course, this is a huge event. These are the Acura NSXs that are literally built awfully close to this facility, just a few miles away. And these are the cars that are homologated and turned into amazing race cars at this stage. And a lot of interest here as those Acuras are running around. But up front right now, it is Parent, Cooper, and O'Connell, McLaren, and 2 Cadillacs. We'll be back.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Nissan. Innovation that excites. By Case-It. Products to work smarter, not harder. Learn more at CaseIt.com. And by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source.
And we're back with you here in our live webcast, folks. And there's that battle for GTA. That's how close it is. But the other part of the story is you see the third place car in GTA right now, the number 54 Mercedes of Tim Pappas. It was those 2 Porsches that were very, very close to each other in GTA on the grid. Everybody else was back a ways.
Yeah, they really separated themselves in qualifying yesterday. Michael Shine laid down a fast lap and came and sat in the pit lane, and then Safronis got close to him, and Shine went back out again. It wasn't necessary to improve his lap time, but certainly Safronis got very, very close and had the whole Wright Motorsports team very worried and concerned, so he had to go out and try and defend if necessary.
The battle here between the 2 beautiful Ferraris. Mancinelli in the yellow, number 31 right there. Of course, that is, you see the collection on the side of that car. It's an Italian shoes. And that is the Tier 3 racing team right behind him, the R-Ferry Motorsport Ferrari, in the hands of Kyle Marcelli. Interesting, he said, I wasn't sure. He was lined up to be the second driver in the Sprint X Championship for that team this year. And he said, after what happened, wasn't really sure whether I'd get a ride. And he said, last week, got a kind of a last-minute call. They said, you know what, we're going to go to Mid-Ohio. You want to go race Sprint? And he jumped on it. Boy, did he jump on the opportunity with that 4th place qualifying run.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Replay XD. Life's in HD. Replay it. And by Honda Performance Development, Honda's North American racing company.
Welcome back, everybody, as Alvaro Perez continues to lead Michael Cooper and has, in fact, now stretched that margin up to 1.2 seconds in that beautiful deep, a little bobble there, that deep blue and yellow K-Pax McLaren in the hands of Brent, and right behind him the Vector Blue Cadillac ATS-V of Michael Cooper. And Brent stretched his margin a little bit, but the margin really from Cooper back to O'Connell has opened up a little bit as well now.
Yeah, it really has, and these top 5 guys are really laying down some fast lap times. We keep seeing everyone dropping their best lap. Just a lap ago, it was Pat Long just by a whisker over Brian Sellers, who had the 2nd fastest race lap. But Michael Cooper has now reestablished the new fast race lap, but everyone is down in the low 21 range.
And just for a point of reference, the track record fast lap was a 1:20.2. And everybody's been saying, Cal, this weekend that the track is a lot slicker than they remember it in the past. So we haven't had track records in qualifying as a result. We know these Pirelli P0 slicks, they continue to evolve, and they're better than they ever were. So this track continues to be a bit of a puzzle.
Yeah, it's a challenge. You got to chase it a little bit, and the temperatures will change the dynamic in terms of the balance that you're getting through these corners. But Pat Long's car is definitely getting a little bit better. Certainly didn't seem to have pace in the opening 2 or 3 laps, but now it's certainly a lot sharper. But Brian Sellers' car is quick as well, so it's not going to be easy pickings for him, and it's very hard to pass around this race circuit. The back straightaway down into turn 4 is the prime opportunity, but you've got to have straightaway speed to do that.
Matter of fact, Long has taken a big chunk of that margin that Sellers had opened up over him and has trimmed that back to under half a second. There they come up the hill, that light blue and dark blue McLaren from K-Pax, and right behind him now is Pat Long. You're talking about tires and pressures. Alec Udell, who of course started the season as a GTA driver and after the first round was immediately bumped up into full pro and is sitting 7th in the overall pro championship, having a great year. He was extremely quick in every practice session. Qualifying came, he was back on the grid a little bit, and it turned out that they had under pressured the tires a little bit too much for the conditions, and he said we could never get the tires warm enough to get the pressures where we needed it, and just couldn't find the speed. Out the back of the frame right now, but looking Long, looking down the inside.
There by Pat Long into turn 4. I'm not sure if he made it stick or not. Certainly Brian Sellers was aware of it, and ironically these two guys ran nose to tail in a different championship just 7 days ago. So Pat Long is used to this picture of the driver in front of him in a different brand of car.
Good racing here. There's that exit of madness. They count as turn 9, but the corner names here are so compelling. We tend to use those just a little bit more. Up through the Thunder Valley section, now heading into the carousel, which is seemingly never-ending right-hand corner. Look at this battle.
GT Cup.
GT Cup side by side again, Cal. They put on a show for the last 20 minutes at Road America. It was absolutely superb.
It takes 2 to tango. They've been putting on some great races this year in their class.
I was talking to Marco Rd.6, who's in that number 11. That's the Ferrari Evo, and he said, I've got a little bit better straight line. That Lamborghini with a little bit more aero has a little bit more stick in the turns. And he said, we just had a blast racing at Road America. And he was able to eke out a win there over Yuki Hirata. But Yuki's been the guy in GT Cup this year.
Yeah, he really has. He had a tremendous season. As you see, Alvaro Pren has extended his lead. New fastest race lap of 20.8 as Marcelli looks to make it prime Ferrari in this field right now. What are the chances, Marcelli and Mancinelli?
Oh, if Val can make this stick. Yeah, you swear that they do that just because they grin and say, we're going to make a mess of the announcers here. So we have those 2 guys running.
New engineer this weekend on the number 31 Ferrari, Hugh Largety, who ran with JMW at Le Mans, got the class victory there.
Ooh, Rd.6,
really sideways. Did he catch
sideways.
it? Did he catch it? No, he didn't.
Oh.
I was going to say that was a huge sideways moment. Very difficult part of the racetrack there as you come up over that brow. Car gets really light. Marcelli still putting the pressure on.
Hounding.
They're just getting back to that engineer, new engineer with a 31 car, and they had a little bit of a setup issue earlier in the weekend that they got on top of, fortunately. This engineer is one of the top guys with the Ferraris. They said won his class at Le Mans this year in GTE AM with the JMW Motorsport team.
Clearly has some chops if you're able to pull that one off.
Absolutely, and it's all about building a good nucleus of a team, and this is a team that we didn't expect to be here for the full season. Burst onto the scene at St. Petersburg, and Mancinelli, everyone scratching their head saying, who is this young kid? He certainly made an impression on this championship.
Yeah, he showed up, was entered as a GTA driver, promptly put it on the overall pole, and everybody went, we need to rethink this one. And he has been an absolute player in this championship this year. Comes in here tied for 4th in the points, only 1 out of 3rd. So that young man, he certainly doesn't lack aggression either.
Looking at these fast laps, this is going to be awfully tight. I mean, the top 6 guys were all within a couple of tenths with their fastest laps of the day. And they continue to get quicker.
It's like Perent just lowered it down, first guy into the 120s, Cal.
Yep, 20.8 a couple of laps ago.
Yeah.
It's plateaued a little bit, but Even so, this is exactly what he needed. He needed a strong weekend. There's been a real pendulum with that McLaren in terms of its performance, track dependent. And this is a strong circuit for them, and you've just got to execute. You've got to tick all your boxes, and I think that's why Sellers was so frustrated after qualifying yesterday, qualifying on the third row, because he realized this had to be an opportunity, and they just couldn't find the sweet spot with the car. But a great opening stanza for him, has him in the 4th position. He'll be happy about that.
You're right on board with Ryan Eversley in the real-time Acura NSX. He is also carrying our iBach onboard suspension cam, and of course a great partner for the championship, and this team runs them exclusively. This is a track we talk about, all the pavement changes and the like. You better have mechanical grip on this car.
Oh, you really have to. It's such a unique circuit. It's got a little bit of everything. Elevation change we're going into right here. Different surfaces. You've got a lot of slow corners where you got to be super patient in putting the power down, not generating too much understeer off the keyhole or the carousel. You've got some high speed, high commitment corners like turn 1, turn 11. Has everything.
Look at that, up and over the rise that is Madness, and heading down toward Thunder Valley, and working ahead away and take a bit of a break here. As we do, we're going to leave you with a look at the GTA category leaderboard. Sofronis and Shine over Tim Pappas. And great to have you back with us here, still on the live web stream, of course. And look who's coming and starting to hound his younger teammate just a little bit. Johnny O'Connell has closed that margin down to Michael Cooper. And, you know, one of the things that Johnny O'Connell, I think, is one of the best in the world at doing is tire management. And, you know, even in these 50-minute races with these great Pirelli P0 slicks, you still have to conserve them a little bit.
You do. And the nice thing for both of these boys is they had a 2-day test here. And that really plays major benefits, even though the track conditions will be a little bit different rubber down here with the IndyCar boys here as well. But even so, that knowledge is super, super important. And I love the dynamic. We've talked about it in the past, Greg. You've got two really good friends in Brian Sellers and Patrick Long running nose to tail there in the 4th and 5th positions. And it's a little bit different dynamic when you've got a good friend you're racing hard against. You're not going to give him anything, but if it gets really tight, you know, it does cross your mind just that little bit. Huge respect between them.
Well, that's really the key word there, is the respect, isn't it?
It is.
When you respect somebody because you know they'll race you clean, you want to race them the same way. And if that means, yeah, maybe I could have forced the issue, but it could end badly, you might dip the brake and just look to fight another corner.
One's getting through turn 1 really well. Looks like the balance in the car is strong.
Here's that keyhole. Tricky and important corner. Kind of falls away. And it leads onto the longest, fastest section of this racetrack, so you've got to carry speed out of it.
Typically, it's going to overwork that left front tire. You see Fogarty here threading through traffic. Looks like Peter Cox. Actually, Fogarty might have had a problem here because he's now dropped behind Eversley. Fogarty had a lap there, 124.5, so I'm not sure if he got balked a little bit, but it was a very slow lap, and he has lost position. And having a weird vibration in that car. It's a different car for this weekend after the major crash they had at Road America. Essentially, that tub was done. Purchased the car from Alex Job Racing, not a brand new chassis, and took it back to the shop, went right through it. Rolled off the truck pretty good, and then had a braking issue and some weird vibration that cannot get to the bottom of this weekend.
This battle is going to start to get, I think, a little bit more, as you like to say, tasty here with Mancinelli in the yellow Ferrari over the Ferrari of Marcelli, but Dial in the Mercedes, the orange Mercedes, and Udell in the blue. And well, here's a look at what may have happened with right on board with Everly. That's Fogarty right up front. Oh, he just ran slow out of it, wasn't he?
Been a little bit wide there and cost him some time. And then you've got to think that this is playing into both these guys' mindset in terms of the incident at Road America. Let's not have a repeat. I think John gave him plenty of room there, and Eversley's just taken off from him since then.
Look at that
second gap.
He is so savvy. The crew just radioed him and said, "You're on camera," and Ryan, exiting the turn, reaches over and gives a wave. He is a social media dream, isn't he?
He really is. Cool cat.
All right, folks, we're going to pause. We'll be right back for CBS. Alvaro Parent continues to lead, but the battle is on between the Cadillac teammates here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, presented by Honda. And here they come. Michael Cooper in the Vector Blue Cadillac APSVR, and right behind him, Johnny Red in the red Cadillac. And as you can see, they've been able to gap just a little bit Brian Sellers. But the interesting thing, these two caddies right now are in the mix of a K-Pax McLaren sandwich, and Jeff Lepper is down with the program manager of K-Pax.
They're in the lead, and you got Sellers in fourth, sort of sandwiching those Cadillacs, as Greg Creamer alluded to. Can Alvaro do this pace that he's at? Is he maintaining his pace, or is he pushing?
You know, right now he was pushing fairly hard in the beginning, because obviously our lap time here qualifies us for race 2, so that was important for us. He did a good lap. The big concern here is he's got quite a few laps in qualifying, and so does Cooper. My concern is, as we get a bit more past the halfway point, one of the cars I'd be concerned about is Johnny O. He has far fewer laps in qualifying than anybody, so tire degradation is an issue.
Yeah, it really plays into that, Cal, as you talk about the different Pirelli P0 tires and how much wear they put on those in the qualifying, having to start on those Pirelli P0s.
Yeah, certainly a factor, and Johnny O and his team had a great strategy. I think they went out on basically low fuel, which meant he couldn't run the full qualifying session. He had to sit there and be patient and wait. But as Darren alluded to, that means he's got less tire laps on these tires to start the race with, and that should certainly pay dividends towards the end of this one. But Brian Sellers just laid down his best lap time of 1:21.027, just 100th slower than Pat Long's, and they both go quicker now. So you got Long, Parent, and Sellers all running 20.8s. Amazing stuff here late in the middle part of this race. Very impressive.
Now these cars so evenly balanced, of course.
Sellers is catching these caddies. Seems like he's found a little magic somewhere in figuring out the car, and I think that's the one thing that maybe Alvaro Parent has in his back pocket versus Brian Sellers this year. He knows this McLaren so well. And Brian will say, you know, I listened to Alvaro in the debrief. He's not tweaking the car as much as I am. And I think what Alvaro's doing is just taking the car and dealing with it and adapting to it. And I think when Brian can do that, he's going to see the same results.
We're seeing a great battle here in GTA. Sofronis may have got the jump at the start and leads, but Michael Shine is all over him in that red, white, and yellow highlighted with the black back on it, Wright Motorsports Porsche. And Sofronis is just, as you said, obviously with the issues with Shine missing Road America. I mean, Sofronis has just been on a tear in terms of the stats column, but Michael Shine is showing some real pace here.
Well, Shine has been so impressive over the last couple of seasons, just really solid performances. But I tell you what, Sofronis has really stepped up his game as well. I mean, he wasn't a regular for the last couple of years, and now he's back more on a full-time basis. And running with guys like Laurens Vanthoor, I mean, it really makes you see the benchmarks, see what you need to be doing, looking at data. And I think he's driving at one of his best levels ever right now.
Yeah, he's really focused. There's no question about that. Really working on it here. Meanwhile, here is that battle again. And you're right. I mean, it's going to become a three-car battle here in a hurry, because Sellers has trimmed that down. He's less than a second to drift of O'Connell right now. And he was almost 3 back not that long ago.
Yeah, and he's gapped Pat Long by about 1.5 seconds there. So blue and black K-Pax McLaren is definitely on the hunt right now. So tight on the fastest lap times. I hate to keep relating to it, but it's so important for the grid position tomorrow.
And you look at how close those are. I mean, that's part of what the story is here in this championship. You take a look at the starting lineup in this field. I mean, the gaps between the cars, just amazing. We're at the top 10 covered by less than a second. And again, Marcelli continues to hound Mancinelli, but Ryan Dial in the orange DeVilbiss Mercedes, it's like he's found a little bit of pace and is starting to run them down. They get close to that guardrail there, don't they?
Yeah, you really do. It's a beautiful section of the racetrack. Then up and you crest the hill there. This is really where you need to set your brake bias for. That corner as the car gets like, look at that. I think Marcelli was thinking about that yellow Ferrari setting him up, and Dial is all over him right now. He's got a little bit faster car right now, it seems.
You see all the debris that's in the lower part just packed on top of that splitter. I don't know that it's into the radiator ducting that much on Dial's car. When the light hits it, right, there's a lot of green up in that lower part just above the splitter as we hop on board with Kyle Marcelli, currently running in the 7th spot.
Just weaving around there in the brake zone. He was not close enough to make a move, but action on pit lane, Jeff.
Well, Marco Rd.6, your GT Cup leader after that incident with Yuki Hirata and his Lamborghini. You can see the damage to this Ferrari there was dragging some bodywork. They thought it was leaking fluids. It's smoking out the back a little bit. I think that's just some steam from sitting here, but he is retiring. They're taking his helmet off. He is out of this race due to that contact he had earlier with Yuki in the Lambo.
It's a real shame. I mean, those two, as we said, it's a little light in terms of entry in that class, but those two have been able to put on a great show.
Seems like a rock band, doesn't it, Yuki and the Lambo?
It does. I like that.
Oh, look at this! Argy-bargy between Ferraris over turn 11.
Boy, and then that opened the door up as Mancinelli got a little bit loose, and here comes Dial.
Oh, you can see Dial looking in his mirrors. Where is that other Ferrari?
And Marcelli, it looked like he did a big tank slapper up and over that part of the rise as well through Thunder Valley.
Well, Marcelli, I think, was being super patient. Remember, this team has had some carnage this year, so I'm sure he didn't want to damage the car, but Dial was forcing him to be forceful on Mancinelli and finally makes that move. Udell now with a great run. He's been strong all weekend long, as you mentioned. Got those tire pressures a little bit wrong in qualifying, which hurt his grid spot. He's a man on the move as well.
Yeah, it looked like Marcelli, when he made the move and he got squeezed a little bit, somehow he just was able to stay in it and was able to continue to get the power down and drive through. Let's go back and see if we can take another look at it, perhaps from a little. Here's that onboard.
There we go. Here's the setup. Down through the S's here. Yeah, there was a little touch there, I think. Mancinelli's in trouble. He's struggling for grip. And this is an opportunity. You can slide it down the inside, but it's always going to be tight. They touch. Mancinelli corrects it. Dial gets a run on him as well. Good, hard racing.
Let's look at this from Dial's perspective here. This should be fun.
Is there a touch there?
Yep.
Yes, there is. But just good racing. And you're not going to, it's hard to make a clean move around here, Greg. If you're going to pass at Mid-Ohio, you're going to have a touch somewhere along the line.
There's that touch. And then if we stay with it long enough to get up when they come up into the carousel, I think Marcelli had a little bit more of a moment. Don't know if we'll be able to get a replay of that as well. He was able to gather it up. That now promotes him into 6th. For him, the problem now is he's 6.5 seconds adrift of Pat Long and a potential top 5.
You know, Marcelli immediately laid down his fastest lap of the race, 121.3. So just getting clean air on the front end of that Ferrari has paid benefits to him.
And as we are riding on board now with Kyle Marcelli, what a great story in the R. Ferry Motorsport Ferrari. Back with this championship after a big moment earlier in the season, and Kyle Marcelli at the helm doing a great job.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Bentley, official luxury vehicle of the Pirelli World Challenge. By BRM, official chronograph of the Pirelli World Challenge. And by Eibach, the world leader in high-performance suspension. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Audi. Visit AudiUSA.com or schedule a test drive today. And by AFE Power, the official intake system and air filter of the Pirelli World Challenge.
You ride on board with a 4-time Pirelli World Challenge champion, Johnny O'Connell, sitting in 3rd in the number 3 Cadillac ATS VR. You look up front, you can see the blue teammate of Michael Cooper right now as they feed their way through turn 4 and start the climb up into the S's. Brian Sellers still right there, and Alvaro Parent now starting to catch a little traffic, Cal.
Yeah, and I think what he's trying to do is probably create a little bit of a cushion so that he can deal with the traffic effectively and not be forced into making rash moves. But so far today, it's been an absolute clinic by Alvaro Parent. Not like he's just driven off into the distance, but just managed it perfectly. Seems to have a little bit of an edge in speed and still has the fastest lap, which will set him up nicely for tomorrow as well.
That's Thunder Valley. Here he comes now through the carousel. Last year, this is a corner where he came up in some traffic, and it hurt him big time as he dropped and gathered up, had to pit because of debris in the radiator, and it really made it a difficult charge at the end for the championship. Now that traffic that he got through is facing Michael Cooper, Yuki Hirata in the GT Cup Lamborghini. And Yuki just immediately swings over and tries to open that door up for him. And Sellers coming in with a huge head of steam down into the carousel, sensing some opportunity perhaps.
Yeah, he got really close to them, and now he's faded back a little bit. That could just be the aero effect. We talk about these GT3 cars, Beck, with the huge dive planes and such on the front of the cars. You suddenly get close to one another, it takes that downforce away and hurts your performance a little bit, and also can cause tire degradation. A very effective run for Brian Sellers. I know he'll be happy with this. A lot sharper performance. Exactly what he needed.
Now, we know how just an amazing talent Brian Sellers is, and he knows these tracks, no question, but it's a different car than what he's used to driving, and just getting your head around what does this car need from me?
Exactly, and it's a tough yardstick because Alvaro is such a strong competitor, and he's been in that car for many years now as a McLaren factory driver. He now knows all these circuits, which he didn't last year, so he's just going to come back stronger and stronger. But even so, Brian expects, and I think he can match Alvaro this year before the season's out.
On board now with Spencer Pumpelly in the Magnus Audi, and the interesting thing is here is that Udell Mancinelli were up the road a ways here, and when Kyle and Daniel got into that battle between the two Ferraris, and obviously Dial able to take advantage as well, but all that side-by-side action slowed everybody down, and it's allowed Pumpelly to come right up on the back now of Udell, and it's hauling the Acuras with him.
Yeah, look at the two Acuras. I mean, Eversley has closed a huge chunk of time on his teammate Peter Cox there, and they got a little bit too close for comfort at Road America. And when we talk about the incident with Fogarty, as we see Pumpelly, they're getting really close to Alec up through the keyhole. But there was a little bit of trading paint between the two Acura teammates prior to that incident down towards Turn 5 at Road America, and I know that was discussed by many, including the team.
Generally is when you got the teammates doing that. Well, Udell really diamonded the keyhole there, and I don't know whether it was by plan or whether he got in just a little bit hot. But he too here senses, I've got to get around on Mancinelli in that Ferrari because Pumpelly is coming.
Yeah, I think Mancinelli's hanging on here a little bit, and he's got a lot of time to hang on to as well. 18 minutes still on the board.
You know, when I talked to him earlier in the weekend after the first test session, he said it's a great track. He said, but it's one of the slipperiest tracks I've ever driven on. It's something a little bit foreign to him at this stage. And see what he's able to do here. He sits in the 8th spot right now. Udell 9th and Pumpelly 10th, with the two Acuras just outside of that top 10.
Yeah, and I think Mancinelli was really holding up Kyle Marcelli, which he's certainly entitled to do. Marcelli just didn't have a good first lap and lost that track position because Marcelli just laid down a 120.9 on the lap before this one, which is really close to Brent's 120.8. So it's just showing the potential that he had here today.
This is just unbelievable. You're talking about how close it is. Brent right now at 120.80. Then you look back to Sellers at 120.84, Long at 120.82. I mean,
Marcelli now the 4th driver.
This is Perez Companc in the number 69 Champ 1 Racing Mercedes.
Unfortunately, the rear tires are not in the kitty litter there, so he's probably just waiting for the corner workers to wave him through safely. He should get bite there. I'm hoping that he's not high-sided.
Yeah, he had an off during the first official practice session of the weekend over in Turn 1 and got away with it. Just literally, the team set a scratch on the back of the car. He's a driver that he was well on his way with a great open wheel career. And as we hop on board with Ryan Dial here, he has had a great run already, and probably is going to get our Motor Trend on demand clean pass of the race award, and it was a beauty when he stuffed it up. Took advantage of opportunity and pounced.
He did. Marcelli opened the door, and Ryan's great racecraft put him in position to get that move on Mancinelli. But he's going to be a little frustrated. I mean, for Dial, you know, 4-time winner here at Mid-Ohio, to be sitting back in the 7th position, this was not the performance and the track position he was looking for, and we get full course yellow. Boy, oh boy, we're going to get a reset with some really quick cars at the front of this field.
Yeah, I don't know whether he was high-sided or if he just stalled and he can't get it restarted, but either way, where he sits right now, he is on the edge of the track here, so that's part of the problem for him at this stage. So we're under the full course yellow, and while we are, I want to take a moment to just remind everybody And if you're like us and are big fans of this series and you want to know what's going on in between the events, social media is the way. First, go to Pirelli World Challenge site at world-challenge.com. Great video content, links to live webcasts. You can also, of course, go to Facebook. Just search for the Pirelli World Challenge Championship fan page and check that out. On Twitter, just look for the handle at WC Racing. There's lots of fun posts that are informative there. And, of course, for all things racing, take a moment and check out Motor Trend On Demand, which includes the archives of all the Pirelli World Challenge races. You can start your free trial at motortrendondemand.com today. So as we sit under full course caution, Alvaro Parent leads in the AM category. Continues to be James Safronis, and we'll be right back. And we're back with everybody on our global web stream. Field under caution. That's unfortunate. I was about to say for Pablo Perez, he was on his way in the late 90s, late 90s, early 2000s with a pretty solid open wheel career. Had done a tremendous job in the Sudan Formula 3 Championship. Made it as far as Indy Lights and had a big wreck early in his Indy Lights career. Badly damaged both ankles, and it's just working his way back into things here. Nice guy, had a great chat with him, and was really looking forward to getting back to a track he always considered one of his favorites here in North America.
Yeah, we didn't see that incident involved, but a quick lazy spin there as we saw the Ferrari of Rd.6 have a moment over in that same area of the racetrack. It's very tricky. They are cresting a hill, and if you get a little bit wrong or you get on the brakes a little bit too early, it can really just suddenly turn you around there on entry.
Man, I think we may have found a look at it here, Cal.
Yeah, he's well into the corner there. Yeah, so he was saving it early, all the way towards apex before he finally looped it.
Yeah, it looked like he may have had, maybe was coming up on the back of Pappas, and if he got a little too quick, suddenly lifts at the wrong time, and all the weight transfers up over that rise.
Yeah, you lose grip before the corner, but as you're going into the uphill there where he actually ended up losing the car, you're actually picking grip back up there. So I think it was a moment earlier in the corner, just right at that transition phase as you're turning in as the critical part of that corner.
He's got to wait for the field to stream through once again, and then he'll be able to get it turned around and head at it. This will have cost him at least a couple laps, unfortunately, and drop him well back in the order. There remains Safronis, Shine, Pappas in the 54 Black Swan Mercedes, then the number 44 Audi of Potter, and in fifth right now the 04 Aston Martin of Jorge De La Torre. Let's check in with Jeff in pit lane.
Yeah, spoke with the team here at Champlain Motorsports for Pablo Perez Compact. Said he was trying to battle for that podium spot in the GTA category with Tim Pappas, and he made a move. It just didn't stick, and he lost it. So unfortunate for him here today.
Yeah, it's a tough break, but it's nice to see him after he was supposed to run all of the sprint races. Couldn't come to Road America because he was having some minor health issues, but enough to keep him away from that. And he said, I really wanted by now to have a bit more racing in, and we wanted to do some testing and the like. He did get a brief test here. Actually ran what's called a Chin Track Day weekend and got a little testing here and said, that helped. I'm certainly feeling a little bit more comfortable in the car here.
Well, that's the key. I mean, with all of these guys, particularly the GTA competitors, it's all about getting comfortable with the car, getting the confidence, and you need it around this racetrack. If you don't have confidence around Mid-Ohio, it will bite you in a heartbeat.
So down into the pits he goes, and we hear fairly often about how important it is to be comfy in your car, and he was just working on it here. Now we get a report from race control that this time by, so as soon as they get around and complete this lap, we look to be going back to green flag racing. And there's a bit of it left. You'll be able to see here. And, of course, what's happened here, that big lead that Parent had built up over Cooper and Johnny O, but you've got the lap car right there of Preston Keller.
How ironic. Yes. I think that was when he was passing Preston last year that he had that moment on the front straightaway, and now Preston may be giving him a helping hand there and creating a buffer back to the Cadillacs.
Absolutely, and this is interesting too to see now. We talked about how well Johnny manages tires. We heard Darren Law say earlier that Johnny went out as less laps on those tires that he had to start the race on. Is he going to be able to just really drop it and mount an attack? Well, we'll find out when we come back with our CBS Sports coverage. Lights out on the safety car here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, presented by Honda. We are going back to racing, and that safety car has made his escape, Cal. It's up to these guys.
Yeah, and I think Alvaro's let the safety car make his escape because he wants to be in total control of this situation, but he's got to be careful. He can't afford to go too early. He's got to wait for that VP Fuels acceleration zone, which is down in the carousel, but again, he should get a huge jump. He's gone early, Greg.
Yeah, and they gave everybody clear word over the network that when the safety car goes, you got to maintain safety car speed, and he maintained it to perfection. But he's launched, and he has got it. Look at that, Preston trying to get out of the way here.
It's going to be tough for these other competitors. Yeah. O'Connell and Sellers are going to be right on him, right through the apex of turn one. It's allowed Cooper to clear him. You can't hit the disappear button, so it's an awkward situation to be in.
Now, can Sellers get him? He's looking. Preston gives him just a little bit of room, but look at Long. That's going to give Long a great run here. I think Brian had the lift going in, Cal.
Yeah, he did. And Pat Long with that motor location is going to get good traction and bike coming off that turn, but Brian got good exit speed there as well. Again, there can be a little bit of an overlap here and getting the performance back in your tires when they cool off a little bit. Beginning to pick up any of the marbles. Kind of snowballs on these tires when the tires are hot late in the going, and if there's marbles around the racetrack, the pickup can suddenly create problems when you're trying to find grip when you go back to green.
Just a little under 9 minutes yet to go, so certainly some time.
Ooh, way wide. Really super wide there.
Didn't quite pick out who that was.
Getting back into a rhythm.
Oh, look at Alec Udell was able to get around on Mancinelli.
Yep.
On this lap.
Done that since they're across the stripe the last time, so you're right. It was on this lap he made the move.
Now we'll see whether he's got anything here. We'll get a report. It may be the number 4, Pumpelli. It's right on board here, Cal.
Down the back straightaway. Let's look at Udell. Does he get to the inside of Mancinelli here? Side by side, Mancinelli.
Oh, he got hit by Cox.
Well,
Pumpelli got shoved off the track.
Yeah. Ironically, Spencer drove for the Acura team here last year and had the fastest race lap, so.
Yeah, that obviously, when he got off track, it allowed a few more people to be able to slide by, one of them the 43 of Eversley. Now Spencer has his work cut out trying to run those guys down again.
So cool, calm and relaxed when he's driving, doesn't he?
Yes.
What a performer. Always gets the job done. I know he and the team will be a little bit frustrated with the pace of the Audi here this weekend, but nonetheless, you know they're giving it 1,000,000%.
Yeah, he really was surprised. He said, we thought this was a car that was going to really work well. There's Preston trying to get out of the way.
Showing all over the back of Sofrona still for the lead in GTA. That battle's not going away.
And it's incredibly close, and you can see just a couple of cars behind what we're looking at now is our GTA battle, but we're going to jump up to the front. And look at this, Brent just seems to be able to, especially on cool tires after that long caution, he just seems to be able to go.
Total control this weekend. Did it in qualifying yesterday, laid down some really impressive laps, came in, reset the tire pressures, then his pole position time was beat. He went back out again and boom, boom, laid down 2 fast laps to retake that pole position. Got the perfect start here today, got the perfect restart. This is the performance he had to put in, and so far, I know there's 6.5 minutes still to go. It's the perfect weekend so far for Alvaro Perrin.
Exactly what he needed. We're going to take a quick pause. We will come back to take you all the way to the checkered flag. As we do, here's a look at the top 3 in GTA right now.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Forge Line, American-made forged performance and racing wheels. And by Mercedes-Benz AMG. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Motor Trend On Demand. Visit MotorTrendOnDemand.com. Start your free trial today. And by TireRack.com, revolutionizing tire buying since 1979.
Well, the number 93 Acura NSX GT3 from Real Time Racing of Peter Cox. That fairly aggressive move on Pumpelly down into turn 4 into the S's has netted him a drive-through penalty for contact here at the Pirelli World Challenge. Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio presented by Honda Racing. So that'll frustrate the Dutchman a little bit. But
yeah, for sure. He's been on it this weekend, though. I mean, Eversley is super strong around here, and he's kind of had the upper hand. I know they run pretty much line of stern there when he had that moment around Spencer, but I think the driver steward's office are going to start to lay the law down a little bit. I know they're frustrated with some of the incidents that happened at Road America, and I think they're going to be a bit sterner with these calls and try and make some statements here. And I think as a driver, you need to recognize that. Maybe something that you got away with a couple of races ago, you need to read the verbiage and the tone in these driver meetings to make sure, do I need to adjust accordingly?
Absolutely. I mean, and you need to set the example, and you need to let them know that we're not going to tolerate that kind of stuff anymore. And these are professional race car drivers. They will take what they can get.
Absolutely.
That's the idea of here now. So, and it's been voted here that the Cadillac ATSV Move of the Race Award goes to Alvaro Brent, and it was for his start and his restart where he just said goodbye.
He did, and I will guarantee you one thing: those Cadillac boys will not be happy with that restart because he went early.
Yeah,
he definitely managed that. He let the safety car get way ahead, and he definitely went before the acceleration zone. And with that traffic in the way, there was nothing they could do.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some discussion of that.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that you can't pass till it goes green. So when you've got traffic in front of you, you're stuck. And I mean, smart by Alvaro, but the question is will the Cadillac guys pursue that enough? Yeah,
it's got really
tight,
tight,
hasn't it?
Sellers has caught the Cadillac, and Long has come along for the ride as well.
3.5 to go, just under that, up and over the rise. It's a good little battle behind these guys. Marcelli, Dial, Udell, Mancinelli, Eversley complete the top 10 right now. Safronis has somehow been able to hang on in front of Shine.
A bit of chunk of time left in this because Alvaro is going to be hitting the stripe right now, so that means he's probably going to do 3 more laps, which will allow this battle to continue for 3 more laps as well.
Look at this. You see that Dial has been able to come right back to Marcelli, and he's brought Udell right along with him as we look out the back of Dial's DeVilbiss Mercedes, sitting in 7th right now. That's Udell behind him.
Alec Udell has been so impressive this year, but this battle is really intensifying. Curious to see if these guys could get it really close to being in a position to make a move, just where that aero wash, as we call it. The car in front is punching that hole in the air and is taking the air away from these dive planes that you're looking at on the front end of that Mercedes, for example. It just doesn't give the driver the grip that he needs to, and he's trying to get closer and make a move on exit. He suddenly feels that wash across the front of the car and can't turn in as effectively.
Now, you always wonder about these young guys like an Alec Udell when they're out on track and they're racing with and pursuing and maybe even running a little quicker than a Le Mans 24-hour class winner. That's got to be a heady moment for them.
Well, there's so much talent in this field, and for young Alec Udell to be doing what he's doing at such a young age, develops of experience to some of these other guys. Very impressive.
And this place is special to him. Back in 2011, as a 15-year-old, he got his first ever pole in Pirelli World Challenge competition in a Mustang in the GTS category, in the wet, no less. And then last year, got his first ever win in Pirelli World Challenge here. Alvaro Parent turns into turn 1, and he will start his second to the last lap. Report coming in from race control now. White flag next time. So, can anybody in this scrum here? I mean, it's Parent's to lose right now, but second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
The trouble for Sellers is that McLaren just doesn't have the straightaway speed of the caddies. I mean, the caddies at about 6 miles an hour on the majority of the field here this weekend. And that's why Alvaro knew that the start and restart was so important. He had the lap time, but he got behind. It's going to be awfully tough to pass Cooper.
Marcelli is really closing it up a little bit on Long. It's not a surprise. Remember, he qualified 4th, and then he got kind of swamped at the start. So we know he's got pace. He just hasn't been able to show it that much after dropping back to the start.
Well, a difficult scenario, and we hate to bring up sort of like a bad vibe, but Alex Ribeiro was so impressive when he started the year for our Ferry, but had a few moments and had that big crash at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and that's why we haven't seen them campaign the car any longer, and they've obviously had a change in the driver lineup by drafting in Marcelli, who was just supposed to be doing the sprint next round, so I'm sure that's in the back of Carl Marcelli's mind. Listen, this team has been through the wars.
Exactly.
I can't afford to get too aggressive, and when you're kind of giving a fierce competitor a little bit of room, that will cost you.
And we are now on our last lap. You see the white flag fly and the margin as they come by. Well, let's take a look at it. It is 5.8 seconds. Alvaro Parent back to Michael Cooper. And you can't even see them. There they come into the frame here. So it's this group, this battle here. Is anybody going to be able to do anything on this final lap to pick up an important position? And really, in many ways, the focus there would be Pat Long, because with Brent winning and winning big here, Long finishing 5th, you know, that's going to close things up. No question about that, Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge point swing here today. So Alvaro will get 26 points with the point for the pole. And Pat Long 17 for 5th position. So that's a 9-point swing out of that 17-point lead he had. He's basically halved it. Do the same thing tomorrow. It's going to be really tight.
Up and over the top of the S's. Turning into madness. On board with Johnny O'Connell. Does he have anything left in terms of an advantage of tires or something here to do something with his young teammate Michael Cooper? And we'll have to find out, because we're going to watch this guy come through. And he has been something special. He likes Mid-Ohio, and it shows. And we talked about it, Cal. It's a track where a driver can make a difference, and today that driver is driving a McLaren to the win at Mid-Ohio. Superb run for Alvaro Parent once again in the K-Pax McLaren, doing exactly what he needed to do. A Cadillac 2-3, finishing behind him. Cooper hanging on over Johnny O'Connell. Then Brian Sellers in the second of the K-Pax McLarens sits in that 4th spot, and in 5th is Long. And watching for the battle in the GTA category. And Sofronis snuck around Shine and hangs on. But that was the margin, Cal, pretty much the entire race. That was fun to watch. Sofronis over Shine by 0.2 of a second, and their fastest laps about, well, even far less of a margin than that. Great stuff. We'll hear from our winners when we come back. We're going to spend a little bit of time with you here on our stream, on our website. We're, again, so happy you were able to join us. And what we're going to do here is, first of all, as we're watching this cool down lap, I want to remind you that 9 o'clock local time, which is Eastern time, tomorrow morning, you're going to want to be with us, because it's the second of the doubleheaders for the Pirelli World Challenge GTS race. And then I'd be ready about 11:45 with us on the web stream here for the second of the doubleheaders for these guys, GT, GTA, and GT Cup. And but you can see this field as it works its way around this track in front of some very knowledgeable and lots of them race fans out there. You can see them waving and whooping it up. I'll tell you what, I think Alvaro Parent just continues to show that he is a special talent.
He is, and he did exactly what he needed to do. Yeah. I mean, this championship is coming down to the wire here. 3 rounds to go, including the race here tomorrow. And he had to eat into Pat Long's points lead. And for Pat Long and Wright Motorsports, they'll be frustrated that they can't really find the magic, find the secret to this racetrack and this Porsche, because they know the car so well, they know the track so well, but something's not quite gelling. Yes, it was an impressive performance by Long, and he's going to start, I think, on the front row tomorrow. So certainly a much better starting position. And then as how hard does he push Alvaro down into the turn 4 tomorrow? Exactly. With those 2 guys, first and second in the championship, should start on the front row alongside each other.
Well, it's interesting here. Last year, Alvaro Parent won the first of the 2 races. Michael Cooper won the second one. So we'll see if we see a little symmetry playing out here. Certainly the first part of that equation has been answered beautifully by Alvaro Parent. And he is heading down to meet up with our Jeff Lepper in just a little bit. Parent, Cooper, O'Connell, Sellers, and Long, your top 5.
There won't even be a caddy on the second row of the grid tomorrow, Greg. They're going to be 5th and 6th, it looks like.
Jeez, that's tough. All right, we're going to pause, and when we come back, we'll be with you on CBS Sports. Absolutely beautiful day and a phenomenal race just completed here, especially for Alvaro Pirelli. As we take a look at our unofficial results, Pirelli in the McLaren, a big win, 6.8 seconds clear of the Cadillac duo of Cooper and O'Connell, Brian Sellers and Patrick Long completing the top 5. Big point story, Pirelli first, Long in 5th. And then as we take a look at the GTA category, James Sofronis a scant margin over Michael Shine, with Tim Pappas completing the podium. With that, let's get down to Jeff Lepper with our GT winner.
Well, Brent, you led it from the green all the race, and then we had that yellow mid-race. How was your race and the pace that you had to maintain to get that win?
It was great. You know, since free practice 1, we've had a really good car. I'm very, very happy with this win. We dominated, and the car was great. I had the best car out there to drive. Big thank you to the team, my engineer, Steve Conover, McLaren GT, and everyone. Really happy with this win, and managed to manage the race very nicely and pushing all the time. So that was a great result. Very happy with this.
Looks like fastest race laps. You'll be our Motul Pole Award winner yesterday. What's that going to mean for tomorrow?
Yeah, look, tomorrow's another day. We take this win. We're very happy. See what happens. It's a different time of the day tomorrow. See what the weather does there. But I think we've got a very strong car and a good chance again for tomorrow.
Well, congratulations, Alvaro Pirelli, your race winner today. Going to work my way. I see James Sofronis right here, our GTA race winner, and we'll get the battle here with James Sofronis. And James, in that Global Motorsports Group Porsche 911 GT3R, you were battled all race long with Michael Shine, right? Those 2 Porsches nose to tail. That was a great race for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of race you want to win. Road America, we won, but Mike didn't have his game there, and he missed one of the race, so I wanted to run with him head-to-head. He's an amazing driver, great competitor, but hats off to the GMG guys. I mean, again, the car was flawless to the point where I couldn't afford to make a mistake, and if I did, Mike would capitalize, and these guys set up the car, made a pretty big change for the race from qualifying, and it paid off, and we had a good pace. But, I mean, what I love about this program and World Challenge is this car is homologated off the GT3 RS street car, which I fully developed back home in California for all these aftermarket parts. And we learned so much from racing in Pirelli World Challenge that we even run the Pirelli Trofeo R tires on the RS when we do track days. So the transfer of information is second to none. And for us, it's a great business model for us to really advance our product. So side note, I love my team. They just do an amazing job. And thanks to all the supporters, my wife and my kids. Love you guys. We got to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah. Congratulations, James Sofronis, man. What a great race was that. Back up to you, Greg and Cal.
Yeah, he is one happy camper, understandably so. Let's take a quick look at the points here. And you talked about it, Cal. A big swing. I mean, he closed it up.
Yeah, it's now 9 points from 17, and if he could repeat tomorrow, that was going to be difficult, though, with Pat Long starting on the front row right alongside him. But he's doing exactly what he needs to do, and it's going to create a big showdown when we go to Sonoma, it looks like.
And McLaren and Cadillac have both closed up a little bit on Porsche, the Manufacturers' Championship as well. Our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charge Award, Jorge De La Torre in the Aston Martin Vantage GT3, that beautiful V12 machine, up 4 spots from his starting spot. So he wins that award. Absolutely superb. And again, we've got another race coming at you tomorrow. You're going to not want to miss that one. Make sure you tune in. And, of course, we will also be racing in about a couple of weeks' time out in Utah. So make sure you're ready for that as well. But for now, we're wrapping it up. For Jeff Lepper, Calvin Fish, and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer in association with WC Vision. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
You gotta